Hey y'all, it's K Divine. I want to talk about something real quick too. 'Cause something weird happened today. Well, it wasn't weird, and it was unexpected for me. But y'all remember how I made a video not too long ago, and I said, it was a few months ago actually. I said your enemy's been linking up, and I was talking about how my ex had talked to my family. He said something today to me because my daughter's grandmother wants to get her evaluated for autism, and they were asking me questions about like things that like what I was diagnosed with. And for those of you that have been watching my channel, you know that I am autistic and that I have ADHD. And he asked me something, and I know, because I'm like, even though I know we have a baby and all of that together, there's certain things that I never told him. This is how I know that he was talking about this is how I know that my family are telling half truths. That's why I said in my last message, like, the narcissists and the flying monkeys, they telling half truths about you. This is what I'm talking about. So he was like, what were you diagnosed with as a kid? He was like, what were you in therapy for? I never told him anything about me being in therapy or me going to a psychotherapist or anything. So they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder when I was like 12. Like like I was like 12 or 13. I was pretty young. I was in middle school. So yeah, I was like 12. Um and the reason why so I told him I wasn't diagnosed with anything, and I told him that we were all in therapy because we were all in therapy at the time after my mom's divorce. But the reason why I don't accept the bipolar disorder diagnosis is because we now know that it wasn't bipolar disorder. Because if they did their research and they actually were paying attention, a lot of times autism and ADHD, especially combined, can mimic a lot of the symptoms of bipolar disorder, but they're inherently different. And I've been reevaluated, and they didn't find any other disorders within me that they could pinpoint based on my results and the tests and stuff that I took. And I saw another psychotherapist. So if they thought that there was something else there, they would have said something. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I want to talk about like the narcissistic family system and the golden child and the toxic family system, because the one thing that the narcissistic family is really good at, giving only a little bit of information. Because what's really funny, my family loves to paint this picture of me as being crazy and all that stuff, and people can believe whatever they want. However, nobody wants to talk about how like, you gotta look at my mama, for instance. So you're telling me that you have a child that was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, but was she involved? No. My mom literally just took me to my appointments, and the psychotherapist, this is part of the reason why I went into psychology in the first place. Because after my experience with the psychotherapist, because when I tell y'all, our sessions were less than 20-30 minutes maybe, and he would ask me, how's the medicine, how are you feeling, and then, okay, well, I'm just going to send you in another prescription. And then that would be the end of it. They were just giving me pills. Nobody was really telling me, no one really at that time explained to me what was going on with me. My mom never even, like, she was not checking on me. She wasn't talking with me about like how I was feeling, and she wasn't even checking to see if I was taking my meds every day. For a while I stopped taking this shit because I started to get I started to have even more like suicidal thoughts, like more than I did before that. And I was like, this just doesn't feel right. I don't understand. And this was a low dose. And my mom had asked the doctor at one point, like, well, how long is she going to be on this medication? And his only response to that was, well, it's a low dose. They even tried to give me the wrong dosage once on purpose. They like, how do you call in the wrong dosage? It's just a refill. So they tried to up my meds once, and I was like, this is not my pills. And so they're like, oh, that was our mistake, that's our fault. No, like, these people wanted me to go into a psychosis at like 12. Like, this shit was crazy. And the narcissistic family loves to paint pictures, but that's what I'm saying. Like, my mom wasn't even involved. She didn't even know I stopped. She didn't even know. Like, they were trying to give me a whole bunch of drugs. And this is why I don't really believe in giving kids a whole bunch of medications early on in their life, because it's like, you don't really know what that stuff's gonna do to them. Like, I understand that some, like, a child may be experiencing depression and all, but I feel like we need to figure out something else before pills, before, giving them medication. Like, let's try to find a different plan, because a lot of times kids that are experiencing depression and anxiety and having outbursts and acting out, that's not a them thing, that is an environmental thing. We need to check the environment. And this is the problem with the narcissistic family system. The narcissistic family dynamic loves to paint the scapegoat child, the scapegoat family member, as the issue, but the real issue is the environment. Narcissistic parents don't want to take accountability for the way that they treat their children, because they feel like they are justified in their actions until their actions start to have consequences. See, this is the problem. Like, when you're the scapegoat and the black sheep, and you decide to leave the toxic family system, they're going to say everything and anything they can to get people to look at you negatively. Like, I know that my mom's goal and my sister's goal of telling my ex that I'm bipolar, and, oh, well, she's been bipolar, she was in therapy for, like, no, I wasn't. That wasn't therapy. You took me to see, no one explained to me at the time what was happening. Because if you want to be honest, after my mom's divorce, I was the only one who was honest about my experience in it, because that's what I thought therapy was. I was like 11 when they got divorced. So I was honest about the way that I felt, and they tried to say that I was bipolar because I was having out. I don't even really know. I don't know what led them to even sending me. But like I said, my mom didn't really do anything. She wasn't helpful. She wasn't interested. She wasn't she didn't even care. Like, when I say that she didn't care, like, she legitimately did not care. She didn't do anything. Like, we didn't even talk about it. She didn't ask me, like, she would only ask me, like, oh, do you need a refill? But sometimes she wouldn't even ask. She would just, if it was time for a refill, she would just go get it. She wasn't checking my pills. She wasn't asking me, like, how are you feeling? Is it getting any better? What can I do for you? My mom didn't do any of those things. And you would think that if you have a child that's struggling with all these mental illnesses and all this other stuff, you think you would be doing stuff. But see, the thing about the narcissistic parent loves to say, well, I did the best that I could. I did everything that I could do. And it's like, if that's the way that you want to perceive that, okay. But you didn't do everything that you could. Because as a mother now, like, I think about all the things that I went through, and I'm like, man, if my child was going through some of the things that I went through, I would go above and beyond for her. But my mom didn't do that. And this is the reason why they tell these half-truths about things that happen, and they perpetuate lies that are a lot of times ridiculous. The reason why they do that is because they need you to look as less credible as possible. The less credibility that you have, the less likely that people are to believe you, and the less likely you are to have support. And then what this ends up doing for a lot of people is it ends up forcing you to basically go back to them. Because when they've infiltrated every aspect of your life, they've infiltrated on your friends, your lovers and partners, the school that you go to. Because my mom used to tell my teachers lies about me. Because there was a point in time where I was having issues. Like, I had to grow up really fast, so I started doing adult things very early on. Not because I felt like I knew what I was doing, but when you go through certain levels of abuse as a child and you don't have that support and you're not allowed to really be a kid, you feel at that point, like when you have adult responsibilities, you feel like, well, I might as well start doing what adults do. And that's traumatic in itself, and nobody really talks about that, and I'll talk about that in a different video. But I really just want to emphasize on how, like, the narcissistic family dynamic is so sick. Like, you have to understand that, like, if you are a part of a narcissistic family dynamic, like, your family is a cult. It's a cult because, and you want to know how you can tell that it's a cult? Ask yourself, do any of my family members really like each other? If the answer is no, you're part of a fucking cult, because they have this blind loyalty to one another, but they don't even like one another. They low-key talk the most crap about each other. And I've witnessed this firsthand in my family. My family loves to talk negatively about one another when they're not in the room. As soon as you leave the room, somebody got something negative to say about you. And you got to understand, if they're doing it to somebody else, they're doing it to you. Okay? There's no safety there in a toxic family. There's no safety. And they don't really care about each other, but what they do care about is protecting the family name, the family image. They want to make themselves look like they are perfect, that they are put together. And you, as the scapegoat, your job is, you're the punching bag. They dump all the trauma, all the negativity, they dump all that onto you. And the reason why, when you start waking up to what's really happening and they start realizing that you waking up to what's happening, this is when you start getting love bombed. This is when they start sending you gifts and shit, start trying to talk to you all nice, like, I'm so proud of you. Like, they say things to you that they've never said before. And you're like, where the hell is this coming from? I remember I told y'all about my mom and her little dog whistling tactic at my daughter's first birthday dinner, and how she was talking about my ex's cousin, her locks, and how they were pretty. But when I got my hair locked, how she made it very clear to me that she didn't like it. I remember how I went like a few months without talking to her. And then we're on Google Duo or Google Meet now. And she was like, oh, look at all that hair. It's so pretty. And all, just saying shit that she didn't really mean. Like, they utilize those manipulation tactics to reel you back in, because I promise you, if you are a part of a toxic family dynamic, if you have already left, if you even consider going back, I can guarantee you that the abuse that you will endure, especially as an adult, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, which I'll get into in just a second. But if you go back, the abuse is going to be worse. It's going to be worse. And it's the same thing going back into a toxic relationship, into an abusive relationship with a narcissist. If you think that going back is going to be better just because they're being nice right now, it's not going to be any better. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be 10 times worse, because they're going to punish you for leaving in the first place. And God, if you were even talking about it, like if you're on social media and you've put things out there that is starting to expose them for who they are, oh, you're going to get punished for that. You're going to get punished for that. You're lucky if you're going to come out of that thing alive. And I mean that sincerely. Like, not saying that they will kill you. Some of them will. Some of them will try to finish the job, because some of them been trying to kill y'all for a long time. But they may just want to break down your self-esteem to the point where you unalive yourself. And I know that sounds really harsh and morbid, but that's just the reality of it. I've talked about, like, other narcissists, like how a lot of them want you gone. They need you gone now. And if they don't want you gone, they want you to be a shell of yourself. so that you can continue to be the punching bag. You can't be this. I promise y'all, the reason why my sister stopped fucking with me is because, she's the golden child. And, they have such high expectations for my sister and all the wonderful things that she was supposed to do, which I don't really know what she's doing right now. My sister has always had issues with like holding down jobs, as far as like she's gotten fired several times. She's unpredictable as far as like her decision making goes. She's not very practical. Thank you, Spirit. She's not very practical. She does stuff based on how she feel at the time, or like she had been telling me for over 10 years that she wanted to open this indoor dog park in Flint, Michigan, which, I mean, it's not a terrible idea, but she doesn't have the tools to execute it. She doesn't even have a business plan, and I told her I could help her write one up. She never wanted to take that offer from me. Oh, well. So, it's like, but she keeps saying that that's what she wants to do, but she doesn't have any idea how she's really going to make money. She just keeps adding on more and more features to it that don't make any sense. Like, oh, well, it's going to be like a pet adoption thing. And I was like, well, that means you'll have to hire a veterinarian, which means you're going to have to be making money so you could pay the veterinarian. Like, she doesn't think about none of this stuff. She just thinks what sounds good, and her head is in the clouds a lot. Yet, but she's the favorite, which is fine. She could continue to be the favorite. But I can promise you, if you're the scapegoat, you're actually really goated. You're really the golden child. The one that thinks differently in the family is the one that is going to help get your bloodline out of those generational curses. And your family doesn't want to believe that because they're comfortable in their toxicity. They're comfortable believing that the way that they operate is okay. They don't want you breaking the generational curses, because if you break the generational curses, then they have to look at themselves and they have to really be honest and say, I could have done more. A lot of our families, especially those that are like marginalized, that didn't have the same opportunities as others, people of color, a lot of our families settled for what they could get, because fighting to do more back then, sometimes it really wasn't worth it to them, which I totally understand, because sometimes, I mean, you look at history, a lot of people who tried to fight for differences and fight for change, a lot of them died. And I totally get that. I totally understand. Like, I empathize with them in the aspect of like assimilating to certain systems and things of that nature to survive. I get that. But some of them can't get past the fact that they don't want you to be better than them, because they've created this persona, that's this false persona of themselves, that they're so what's the words I want to use? That they're so much better than what they really are. Even if like especially some of these, like a lot of, especially my family, like I got people in my family that are like lower middle class now. And they feel like they're like upper middle class in their minds. Like they got money like that. And it's just like, okay, you have a nice house. Okay, y'all got some good cars, you had a nice career. Okay, cool. That's great. I'm not like, I love that for them, but it's like, but that doesn't make you better than everyone else in the family who doesn't make as much as you. You know how difficult it's been, like sitting in rooms with, like, as an adult, and then people talking about my mama. Not that I didn't disagree with them with the stuff that they said, but I'm like, dang, these people really don't like my mom, her own siblings. And I can promise you that your families are the same way. When I say that they talk about everyone as soon as they walk out the room, and that's why I can't stick with it. I can't go back to that life with them, because I remember everything that I went through last year, and those people had the audacity to add me to the family group chat during Christmas. Talk about some Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm like, Merry Christmas? I haven't heard from any of you all year. No one called me to check on my baby. Like, I don't care if people call and check up on me. But the first girl of this new generation of our family was born in 2023, and nobody seemed to care. And I'm like, if you don't care enough to call me to talk to her or see how she's doing, then what's the point? That means you don't care. Because people who care put the effort in. People who love you put the effort in. And they don't. The toxic family dynamic is designed to keep you stagnant. Because they want, and they definitely, a lot of y'all toxic parents want y'all to be dependent on them. And they've been telling people for a long time that you are dependent on them and that all you do is call and ask them for money when you don't. Because a lot of the scapegoats have learned to be hyper independent because you found out early on in life that no one's going to be there for you when you need help, whether that's emotionally, mentally, physically, financially. Most of the time, they're not going to be there. You learn that early on, and you probably got a mad hustle on you too. Some of y'all have worked 2, 3, 4 jobs most of your life at this point because you've always said, I don't ever want to need them. I don't ever want to have to call them. And it's kind of sad that you can't rely on the people that claim that they love you. But the toxic family uses words like love and loyalty only as a means of manipulation. They don't really love you, and they're not loyal to you, but they want you to be loyal to them. They want you to blindly be loyal to the elders simply because they're the elders now. Because y'all know, I don't know about y'all, but when my grandmother passed away in 2021, my family changed. Things changed for me. When she died, I realized a lot of different things about my family because stuff started coming out. When I went to go help write her obituary at my aunt's house, I'm finding out that my granny had another name I didn't know about. And I'm like, how did I not know this? And they're like, oh yeah, this happened and this happened. The one time, my family treated me so well once when my mom wasn't there. I'll never forget this day. I went to my aunt's house. I don't remember if it was a holiday or what. It was before my daughter was born. And I want to say it might have been around the 4th of July. This was right around the time me and my ex were like first dating, and our relationship was still new, and this was like right before I got pregnant. And my mom had just had surgery on her hip. And my sister didn't go. I think she had other stuff to do. I think she might have had to work or something like that. Or she doesn't really like going around my family unless my mom is there or something like that. I couldn't remember what her reason was that day. But I decided I wanted to go. And plus, my family from Florida that I don't particularly care for, they were there. So I felt like at the time, this was before my spiritual awakening, that I needed to go and show my face. And when I tell y'all, like, they started talking to me real different that day. I actually felt like an adult that day. They were telling me like, oh, we told your mom not to marry that man. We never liked him. This is how I know that my mom has tried to paint me as like the bad kid because of the abuse that we endured. But the truth of the matter is that when I was like 5 or 6, I told my aunt some of the things that were happening in the house at the time. And after that, I didn't see my family very much after that. And, the truth teller often is silenced because they don't want you knowing. They don't want other people knowing what's really going on and the things that have really happened. And this is why they try to discredit you all of your life. This is why they call you crazy. And this is why I feel like my mom figured out some way to get me to like be on that medication and get diagnosed with bipolar disorder and all this other stuff when I was younger. I feel like that was all a plot and a plan because it helped fit her narrative of me at the time. That I was mentally ill and I didn't really know what was going on, and that I was just a bad kid, which I wasn't. I've always been very smart and intelligent. My teachers loved me in school. I only struggled 1 year, which was my junior year of high school, but after that I had to get my shit together. My sophomore year too, I kind of struggled, but it was because I was sick a lot. Which I'll get into that in a different video. I might deep dive more, especially now, because like I said, like when my ex bringing up, like, what were you diagnosed with as a kid? Like, we never talked about that, and I would have remembered talking to him about that, because it's something I don't typically talk about. So I already know that my mom and my sister have told lies. And I think this is why he's been trying to push me to like rekindle something with them, or like talk to them, or reach out, or like, you don't realize how much you act like your mom. And it's like, you don't know my mom well enough to know that whether or not we act alike or not. You know, so it's just his opinions on things. And this is why, like I said, I reject that. And that's why I was like, I wasn't diagnosed with anything. So they could take that all they want, but I'm not putting nothing on no records. Because I don't accept it, because it's not even true. Because we know what it is now. We know it was autism and ADHD. Oh, the toxic family dynamic is so crazy, y'all. Because I promise y'all, they none of your family like each other. They hate each other. And I was telling y'all a few months ago, like, your enemies are arguing with each other. Like, they're arguing with each other right now. And you want to know why they're struggling right now? It's because you're not there. I told y'all, there's a video I made some time ago where I said, like, you are the glue. You are holding everything together. You were holding everything in that family together. And it sucks because you're the only one that really wants to see change. Like, I loved, like, part of the reason why I even studied psychology in the first place, because I was like, I'm going to become a psychologist. I'm going to help my family. I'm going to get them therapy, because everyone needs to go to therapy and just, you know, get through some things and talk through some things. And they joked about it. They're like, oh, well, maybe all of us can get therapy. And like, they thought it was funny. But I'm like, no, all of y'all really do need therapy, because the things that my family, like the things that my, excuse me, the things that my family, my mother's siblings endured growing up are not normal. They're not normal at all. This is why I empathize with them still. Not that I mean, I love them because they're my family. I can't really say that. I don't really know how I feel knowing the things that I know that they've done to me. And the things that they've said about me. I have love for them, I'll say. But I empathize because they really didn't deserve the things that they went through growing up. You know, we have gun violence in my family history. It's a lot of infidelity, a lot of lies. My granny, you know, she wasn't the best mom. She wasn't very emotionally or mentally supportive. She kind of was like my mom, how she just really wasn't involved with, well, at least with her daughters. Can't really say about her sons. And that's a whole different dynamic. We'll talk about that in a different video as well, about how a lot of mothers love their sons and hate their daughters. That's a different topic for a different day. Unless you're the narcissistic scapegoat, like, or the scapegoat of the narcissist, and you're a boy, that's a different story. But yeah, they didn't deserve what they went through, and I recognize that. But none of them ever went to therapy. None of them ever talked about it, really. Like I said, like, once my granny died, now stories and stuff are coming out, and I'm like, how is it that, you know, I'm in my mid-20s at this point, and I'm like, how is it that I've never heard any of these stories? Why am I just now finding stuff out? Like, the day that I was at my aunt's house without my mom, and she was just like, oh, I went, like, she seemed so mad that she wasn't there with me. And it's because she couldn't control the narrative around me, because she wasn't there. And, you know, I'm over here hearing stories. They're telling me about her cats and stuff. My mom had a lot of cats. Look, she had some neighborhood cats that she took in early on when she was young. And they were telling me about, like, her the names that she gave them and stuff. And I'm like, Mom, why have you never said this stuff to me? She's like, oh, well, you know, it's just, you know, it was a long time ago. And I'm like, but you love talking about yourself. So it's like, that's why I'm like, yeah, it's toxic. Because a real family that isn't scared to talk about the bullshit that happens, they'll talk about it out loud. And, you know, just, I'm going to side note this, and I'm going to end this in a minute. I want to bring up the fact, like, with my ex, like, the reason why he's so, like, he's gonna lean more towards believing the stuff that my mom and my sister say is because he also is a part of a toxic family dynamic. I've seen his both sides, well, both of his families, his adopted family and his birth family, and both are toxic. So, you know, I get it. This is why I just try to separate myself from that shit, because it's like, y'all can say whatever y'all want over there. I'm gonna be over here. Okay? The toxic family is designed to keep you as low as possible. They don't want you reaching for the stars. This is why they'll tell you. This is why they'll try to infiltrate on your endeavors. Have you ever noticed that, like, you're trying to accomplish something and then all of a sudden a distraction comes? Whether it be a person or a new obligation, or, you know, something happens where it's like now you have to focus your time on something else. A lot of times your toxic family sets stuff up like that for you so that you can't reach your goals. Especially if it means that you are going to surpass them in some way. Especially when the narrative around you has been that you are incapable, you are incompetent, and that you are never going to amount to anything. So, if you feel like you're a part of a toxic family dynamic, my goal for you is to either find a way to escape from it, or you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with them. But it's never going to get better. Them folks always going to be that way. They ain't never going to change. They always going to treat you like shit. That's just who they are, and how they see you. They're never going to see you for who you truly are. And it's really because they don't want to. They just don't want to. Okay? But I love you, and I'm here for you. If you want to talk about it, book a session with me. All the stuff is in my description. Yeah. The toxic family dynamic is a crazy roller coaster. But there's a way out, and you will thrive. It's going to be painful, and it's going to be hard, because you may need them. Like, you may struggle some. I'm not going to lie to you. You may struggle a bit, but everybody goes through their own process. But it's going to be okay eventually. You're going to get everything that you need. The Most High is on your side. And you're going to be okay. You're going to see your way through it. Okay, y'all? I'm going to wrap this up, though. Kind of want to go chill. That dream really messed me up. Because I'm starting to think that it really wasn't a dream. It was definitely in a different dimension or something. Because I read something the other day that was like, in dreams you can't read, and I was like, I read clear as day in that dream, so maybe it wasn't. We'll see. But I'm gonna probably post a couple more videos. I got some stuff happening next week, so I might double post up this weekend depending on how shit goes. But please like, share, subscribe. I love y'all. It's your girl K Divine. I'll see you later. Bye.